Alright, hey everyone. So this is for the alpha release of Layer Loop Analysis, which is a Loopring NFT collection dashboard analysis tool, and at some point in the near future, it'll also have analysis on wallets. I've been working on it for a little bit, but so the GitHub, I put up the code I think last week. So still working on a few things, but this is a Dockerized Flask app, and oops, sorry. So this is a Dockerized Flask app, and it gives you a SQL-like light database that you can end up working on with yourself, get your own data. So the idea of this is really to just kind of get the collections that you want to view. But not necessarily like everything, as the database structure would have been probably a little different if I would have done that. Definitely would have been different if I had done that. So, but all right, yeah. So for the collections, you can either find it on here or the drop-down menu over here. This is the home screen. I have the get data. So you come over here, it grabs things from the Loopring subgraph. One thing to note on the Loopring subgraph is that it is based on the block time. So it takes, you might do a transaction, it'll take 30, 45 minutes sometimes for it to show up on the subgraph. And then, yeah, so to fetch the information initially or update, put the address in there. So, and then we can load, we can also update, and we can delete. So what we'll do here is we'll just delete this one, and we'll put it back in here, and we'll fetch the collection. So as we're fetching, it shouldn't take too long, but some of them do take a while. So for instance, like loop heads takes like 30 to 40 minutes, I think. But it's the time really takes on each individual NFT. So one of the things that it is it's based off of the contract address. So legacy contracts that either don't have a name or that have multiple different Loopring contracts, those are all bundled into one. Been wanting to add in functionality to get each of the Loopring contracts, but that's not in here yet. But I'll get feedback from people and see kind of what features and what ideas if they want. So can select one or multiple different collections. So say you have multiple collections and you want to see all of them at once, you can do that. You can load selected items on this right-hand side of the active. You'll see the ones that are active and the ones that aren't. Then you come over to the dashboard, and on the left-hand side, you have the transactions. You have essentially a lot of the data, how many you've minted, how many you've burned, the total LRCs that it's sold for, total royalties. So this has a lot because the very first one was the games, and I've minted a lot of those. Also had some, I think, some ones that mints that didn't go and burned. I think separating out that is something that I've been thinking about best ways to do it. However, a lot of people have really different collections, so trying to get one thing that fits all for each different type of collection, I've definitely been thinking a lot about. But so with that being said, we have the collection sales. If you come in, you can go into different times. One thing to note is since everything's done on the same block, we'll see here that these are separated by 0.5 seconds. So technically it was the same block, but so that you could hover over it, each one of these, I put a separate 0.5 seconds in just so that there's some difference, and these do shade a little heavier. Just double click if you want to bring it back. If you want to look at the network graph, this was probably the thing I was actually most excited to put in here. So you can see all the different ones here, how many gone between stuff. I've noticed as it becomes larger, some of it gets a little harder to kind of interpret, and been debating on kind of switching some of the colors up, but can go into the zoom in, zoom out. Can also search by NFT or account addresses or account IDs. So then we have the top holders by account. One thing to note here is so with between so taking from L2 to L1, so from Loopring and then taking it to the L1 chain, that would be a withdrawal and then deposit. I was debating on different ways to show that and take that data in. One of the things is when it's deposited, the NFT is minted again. So I was trying to figure out the best way to do that. The minter also is the contract address. One thing also with these is if you, well, actually I'll show a different one, but there's different ways to sort on here. Now, also have the total sell by account and the total buy by accounts. You can see how much is in the entries. But say if you want to look at a certain account on any of these, you can come in here and you can see that we put it in this one. You can see the network collection. If we come in over here, you can look at just the different ones that we have there. So we also have the raw data. And some of it's a little bit I've done some data on. So the one thing to notice is the realized price is that it does take into account, so it actually gives it to it in a string of like 15 digits, and I do just do it so that's in whatever it is. So here it's LRC, so the price is in LRC. Just one thing to note if you guys have dealt with the subgraph before. Has the block time. I can also search by accounts and see how many, if it was traded, if there was transfers. So we can also come here. The other thing we can do is so not the mint, but let's maybe do say from account ID. Okay. Well, no. Okay, here we go. So if we do this, if you sort by here, you can see there's multiple. We can actually, if you hit Alt, no, Shift. Okay, if you hit Shift, you can then do like a second sort, and that will do it. So Shift click will keep this sort, and then you can kind of just keep sorting by different ones. So the other thing is for the HDZ collection. So I showed ones that have been on Loop Exchange, but there's some that are there's one collection that I have and I have prepared. It is, I believe, this one. It's the HDZ. The artist is HDZ, but has collections on both GameStop and Loop Exchange. And with here, have the blue, and on the left-hand side is the LRC sales, and then on the right-hand side is the ETH, and it's in green. If there's a GameStop collection that has only sold in ETH, it should be on the left-hand side in blue. So one thing to note. Right now, all the sales are done in either ETH or LRC, so it is taking that assumption. So if USDC, if there's something sales, this won't show it. It will be shown in the raw data. And that can be added in, but was going to hopefully try to find some examples before I started just programming it in, and can start seeing the network graph. But yeah, so if you guys have any suggestions, please let me know. If there's things that you want to see, things you'd rather do instead, certain behaviors. For instance, this collection info over here, I can probably make it look a little different, but also if there's something that you want in there or don't want in there, let me know. I've definitely tried to make it so that it's useful for really different types of people who've come off their collections, but also for people that that are collectors. they can see what they want. But yeah, I hope you guys like it. You can get it on GitHub. It uses Docker, so to do it, you do Docker compose up. And then the prerequisites are GitHub or Git and Docker. But yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know. All right, thanks guys.